Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Summer 2018 Commencement Ceremony for Georgia Gwinnett College. You may be seated at this time. At this time, the GGC Foundation would like to thank and acknowledge the Lawrenceville community, our friends, as well as our faculty, staff, and students, whose generosity and support have made this ceremony possible. We too acknowledge and appreciate the participation of the Army National Guard Color Guard Detail, our student soloist, JANAE Gray, our sign language interpreter, as well as GGC staff and students for their special contributions to today's ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the procession of the Georgia Gwinnett College faculty, the Summer 2018 graduating class, and our distinguished platform party. Please remain seated as our faculty enter the Arena Bowl.
The institutional procession is led by GGC faculty. The mace bearer represents the full complement of GGC faculty, and the GGC seal and standard bearers represent the 5 academic schools within Georgia Gwinnett College: the School of Business, the School of Education, the School of Health Sciences, the School of Liberal Arts, and the School of Science and Technology. The School of Transitional Studies represents the 6th remaining non-academic school within the college.
Each faculty member carries a unique and cherished GGC symbol. The first bears the Georgia Gwinnett College mace, the second, the GGC seal, and the remaining 4 faculty members carry a standard representing one of the 4 pillars of Georgia Gwinnett College: scholarship, leadership, service, and creativity.
Dr. William Mark Sweatman, Associate Professor of Sociology and Human Development, School of Liberal Arts, bears the GGC mace and leads the faculty processional. In today's ceremony, Dr. Sweatman represents the full complement of GGC faculty. We invite you to read more about the symbolism of the GGC mace on page 8 of today's commencement program.
Dr. Cheryl Clark, Associate Professor of Management, School of Business, carries the standard bearing the Georgia Gwinnett College seal. The GGC seal represents the core mission, values, and vision of the college, and identifies the college as unique among all other educational institutions. The seal reflects the college's official colors, green and gray, and contains symbolism of GGC's core identity. You may read more about the symbolism of the GGC seal on page 11 of today's commencement program.
Dr. Christopher Brandon Jr., Professor of Biological Sciences, bears the standard of scholarship.
Dr. Grace Onadipe, Assistant Professor of Economics and representing the School of Business, bears the standard of leadership.
Dr. Gwendolyn Anyunicham, Associate Professor of Curriculum and Instruction, represents the School of Education and bears the standard of service.
Dr. Johannes Gedamu, Lecturer of Political Science, represents the School of Liberal Arts and bears the standard of creativity. We invite you to learn more about the symbolism and significance of the GGC mace, seal, and standards representing our 4 pillars by referring to pages 8, 11, and 12 in today's commencement program.
Members of the GGC faculty complete the processional of faculty as they follow in succession the GGC seal and standard bearers. These faculty represent the varied academic ranks of full professor, associate professor, assistant professor, lecturer, or instructor.
The distinct regalia worn by GGC faculty reflect traditional colors of their academic disciplines, as well as the colors of the varied institutions where their individual degrees were conferred. Additional information on the long-standing tradition of academic regalia is outlined on page 10 of today's commencement program.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please remain seated for the processional of the Georgia Gwinnett College graduating class of Summer 2018. We encourage you, however, to cheer for our graduation candidates from your seats.
Now, please rise for the processional of the platform party and distinguished guests, which include the President of Georgia Gwinnett College, Dr. Stas Perchevsky, Senior Leadership of the College, Academic Deans, and our guest speaker, Mr. John TIEN.
The platform party also is made up of the leadership of the following groups: the GGC Board of Trustees, the GGC Foundation, and the Faculty Senate, the Division of Student Affairs, and the GGC Student Government Association. The Summer 2018 student speaker and representatives from the Office of Enrollment Management Services comprise the final members of this distinguished group.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the presentation of the colors. We are grateful today for the participation of 5 distinguished service members from the Georgia Army National Guard Recruiting and Retention Battalion. As they present the colors, please remain standing and in silence during the singing of our national anthem. The national anthem will be performed today by JANAE Gray, our student soloist, under the direction of Dr. Mark Gilley, Associate Professor of Music.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets reckless, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, JANAE, for that wonderful rendition of the national anthem. Please continue to remain standing and in silence while the color guard posts the colors on the platform, salutes the flag, and exits the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, you may now be seated.
Now it is my pleasure to introduce to you the president of Georgia Gwinnett College, Dr. Stash Przewski.
Good morning on this beautiful, sunny August morning. Welcome. Thank you for turning out. Good morning and congratulations to the Georgia Gwinnett class of 2018. It's my privilege to welcome the family, the friends and faculty, and our staff to our 2018 Summer Commencement program. Today, we celebrate the achievements of nearly 200 students who have completed and fulfilled all the requirements for the baccalaureate degree this summer. Welcome. Through their hard work and perseverance, these students have earned their bachelor's degree, and I know they're quite excited as I am to be sharing this with you today. I ask the audience to please, for a few moments, hold your applause until all of our distinguished guests are recognized. And again, please hold your applause. Mayor Judy Jordan-Johnson is with us today, representing Lawrenceville. The Honorable Bob Clark of Lawrenceville City Council and his wife Valerie are with us today. The chairman of the foundation board and a selfless servant and leader to the institution, Mr. Tommy Hughes. Members of our GGC Foundation Board who are seated with us. Members of our School of Business Board of Visitors. Mr. Tim Foster, chair of the Alumni Board, as well as other members of our Alumni Board and Association. Dr. Daniel J. Kaufman, who was the founding president of Georgia Gwinnett College, is with us today. Dan, thank you for being here, sir, with us. And of course, our keynote speaker, John TIEN, and his wife Tracy, who are here, and more about him in just a moment. So we're delighted to have such a distinguished group of people with us here today who have selflessly given to this campus and making this possible, starting from as long as 30, 35 years ago. So if you join me in thanking them for being here today and supporting us over these decades. One more thanks. There is actually a small army of GGC personnel, well over 100, who work long and hard to make this event possible each time, as well as dozens of employee volunteers who provide assistance. So if you would join me in thanking them for being here with us today and making this possible, I appreciate all your hard work. And at this time, I would normally recognize the faculty, but I read the speeches ahead of time. There's going to be some recognition to you in just a few moments. But our faculty is special as well, and you'll be recognized in just a few moments, but we thank you for what you do. This year, we reflect back on 10 years ago to our very first degrees that were awarded in 2008. We didn't have a summer commencement that year, and between our fall and spring ceremonies that we did had, all told in that year, we had awarded just 50 degrees to our students. Today, we're awarding more than 70 degrees in the business area alone. So we're having more people in just one school than we had at the whole college in a whole year. In the spring of 2008, we awarded degrees in just 2 majors. Today, we'll award degrees in 14 majors. At that time, we only had 4 majors. Today, we have 17. We've also added teacher certifications for selected majors, as well as several minors, certifications, and a certificate, all of which support the economic and workforce development of our entire region. In 2008, GGC had just 870 students enrolled 10 years ago. As of today, we have over 13,000 students enrolled. In fact, we have more students enrolled in some of our majors than we had in the entire college 10 years ago. After the spring and fall commencement ceremonies in 2008, we had a grand total of 50 alumni. Today, we have over 5,500 alumni, and we're adding more than 1,000 per year. 10 years ago, the land on which our campus was standing was just a forest. We've built most of our beautiful campus from scratch with the support of our state legislature, the University System of Georgia, the GGC Foundation, and the Gwinnett community. In 2008, we had 100 faculty and a small staff. Today, GGC has more than 1,500 total employees, and we are now Gwinnett County's 6th largest employer. We've generated a cumulative economic impact on the region of more than $2.8 billion and are now going at about $500 million a year. In 2008, GGC had been open only for 2 years, and there was a lot of questions about whether or not we were going to have a future, whether we were going to be able to last. Today, we are now the 8th largest institution in a 27-unit University System of Georgia group of colleges and faculty, colleges and institutions. Indeed, a lot has changed in the last 10 years, but what has not changed is Georgia Gwinnett College's commitment to its innovative mission and vision and to providing the promise of higher education to students at all levels, at all ages, from all walks of life. In 2008, most of you had no idea whether or not you would go to college. Many of you did not think it would be possible. Today, you sit before us, having overcome all obstacles and barriers to deservingly receiving this prized and prestigious degree that you're going to receive today. And each of you has a different story. You've made your college experience uniquely your own, and you are charting your own path for your lives and for your careers. There's English major Drew Lewis, who interned with the Gwinnett Daily Post, won both first and second place in an English poetry competition, and served the community by working on a grant proposal for a charity that serves Haitian children. Sonia Sanchez, an exercise science major, worked as GGC's CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation instructor, and certified 400 members of the campus community in this life-saving skill. And then there's business major Allison Dudley, who attended GGC this summer full-time while working full-time and completing her internship full-time. Allison, it doesn't sound like you were getting much sleep, so I hope you're able to take a nap right after the ceremony today. Allison, where are you? Allison? Somebody nudge her, wake her up. Yep, good. Allison. Congratulations on being here today. After graduation, criminal justice major Jennifer Moore will be working in a felony probation for Gwinnett County, while her fellow criminal justice major, Kiara Jackson, has registered to take the law school admissions test in January so that she can start law school next year. Business major Michael Johnson will be working in advertising as well as in acting. He has already appeared in national commercials, a television series, and a movie. So if Michael becomes famous, you could all say you saw him first here as a graduate of GGC. Where are you, Michael? There he is. And so today, this brings me to our graduate speaker, Anna ECHEVERRY. Anna and her parents emigrated from Colombia to the United States when she was 4 years old, and today she becomes the very first member of her family to graduate from college, as is the case with about half of our graduates. Anna came to GGC from Peachtree Ridge High School in Swanee. Today, she'll receive a bachelor's degree in business administration with a concentration in marketing, an English minor, and a certificate in global studies. Last year, she spent a semester in Denmark at the Copenhagen Business School. While attending GGC, Anna gained experience as an executive assistant for a local jeweler, as chief marketing executive for a marketing firm she founded in 2016, and as an intern with a local marketing and advertising agency. She's also working as an assistant events coordinator for a local municipality. She has served her community as a youth minister for a local church and a marketing intern for a local nonprofit, providing comprehensive family support for the Latino population. So please join me in welcoming Anna ECHEVERRY.
Thank you, President Perchevsky, for your kind introduction. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to all of our distinguished guests, our families and friends, to the faculty and staff, and of course, to the graduating class of summer of 2018. This moment is also a time for us to extend our deepest gratitude to those who have made it possible for us to be here today. For me, it's my parents. It's amazing to look back and see where we started. We immigrated to the United States when I was only 4 years old, and I'll never forget how lonely I felt in an American classroom. I remember in preschool, I was so afraid to ask my teacher anything in my native Spanish that I would just sit there and cry all day. Who would have guessed that that little girl would be speaking from this podium and receiving her bachelor's degree today? This was the dream that my parents had for me, and the reason that they've spent all of these years working multiple jobs so that I could do well in school, go to college, graduate, and have a successful career. They sacrificed everything so that I could have a future. This day has been my dream as far back as I can remember, but it was their dream long before that. Please allow me a moment to thank them in Spanish. Aquí estamos, mami y papi. Lo hicimos. Ustedes decidieron trabajar muy duro para darme la mejor infancia que nadie podría pedir. Todo su trabajo ha dado frutos, así como lo ha hecho el mío. Gracias por darme la confianza cuando yo no confié en mí misma. Gracias por creer en mí cuando yo no creí en mí. Y gracias por darme las alas que ahora voy a usar para volar lo más alto y lo más lejos que pueda. Excuse me. This is what I just told my parents. Here we are, Mom and Dad. We've made it. You two chose to work very hard to give me the best childhood anyone could ever ask for. All of your hard work has paid off, as has mine. Thank you for believing in me when I did not believe in myself. Thank you for giving me the courage that I needed when my own felt short. Thank you for giving me the wings that I will now use to fly as far and as high as I can. Class of 2018, I know you all share the same sentiments for your loved ones who have supported you. We each have a different story and a different struggle. But today, our loved ones are gathered here with us, all centered around that same dream. And we're also joined by our GGC faculty, who have taught us, encouraged us, and mentored us as we work so very hard to achieve this moment. So at this time, I invite you to please give a standing ovation for your family, friends, and faculty who have loved you and supported you to achieve this dream. Let us also remember that we have supported each other. While at GGC, we would make group Quizlets and save study rooms for each other and cry over our large cups of coffee before our finals. Today, we will go out into the world and we will continue to support each other. We will email each other job opportunities and encourage each other to succeed. But more than anything, we will celebrate each other's life and career milestones. But with our college degree comes an even greater responsibility. During this journey, I realized that there is something much greater than myself or than my own ambitions. Being a part of one of the most diverse colleges in the Southeast, I realized that we are all one big family, regardless of skin color, national origin, or native language. In addition, being a part of this community allowed me to experience perspectives from other students pursuing other career paths. Working with our faculty and students in other disciplines broadened my horizons and gave me a deeper appreciation for the diversity that is GGC and the greater Atlanta region. And those pillars behind me of scholarship, leadership, service, and creativity are not just for college, but for life. So we have to think bigger than a paycheck and benefits. We have to think about how we are going to change the world as college graduates. Certainly, we must continue to support our fellow alumni, as well as future generations of Grizzlies that are coming in behind us. It is up to us to make sure others graduate too, so we must do our part to support Georgia Gwinnett College. But I challenge you to think even bigger, because it is up to us to create that better tomorrow that we're constantly looking for. We must set an ethical example in our workplace and in our community. We must stand up for what is right and for what we believe in. And in a time when aggressive rhetoric is often seen as the common solution for our differences, we must learn to be gentle and patient, to communicate and listen, but more importantly, to collaborate and compromise. Today is the accumulation of a dream, but it is not the end of your journey towards greatness. In fact, the word commencement means beginning. That's why we're here at our commencement ceremony, so that we can begin our exciting futures. So congratulations, Grizzlies. It's time to begin our future. Let's all keep the GGC spirit and continue to exceed our own expectations. Thank you.
I always hate being the worst speaker. You got to follow that and wait till you hear the next one. So thank you, Anna, for your words. We're delighted to welcome John TIEN as our keynote speaker as well. John is a managing director at Citigroup, one of the world's largest financial service firms. It operates in 160 countries and serves over 200 million customers. He also serves as the chief operating officer for Citi's largest American Express co-brand card portfolio, which serves more than 15 million customers. His previous positions at Citi include Chief Administration Office for their Global Consumer Operations and Technology Organization, and Chief of Staff for its Global Fraud Prevention Division. As a retired United States Army colonel, John is Citi's senior military veteran and serves on the company's global advisory leadership team overseeing the Citi Salutes program and providing firm-wide support to U.S. military veterans and military spouses, both internal and external to the company. In this role, he represents Citi in several Fortune 500 veterans forums and serves as a senior representative with United States Departments of Defense, Veterans Affairs, and Labor to help stimulate the hiring of veterans in the private sector. John's 24-year active duty career included 3 combat deployments in Iraq. His last posting was as a 3-year tour of duty at the White House, where he was the senior national security advisor to Presidents Bush and President Obama. His military awards and decorations include the Bronze Star Medal, the Valorous Unit Award, and the Combat Action Badge. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from the United States Military Academy at West Point, a Master of Arts in Political Science from Oxford, where he was a Rhodes Scholar. Catch that, a Rhodes Scholar. He was also an assistant professor in the Department of Social Sciences at West Point, and a White House Fellow in the Clinton administration, and a National Security Fellow at the Harvard Kennedy School in Cambridge, Massachusetts. John's community services include his role as a board chair of the national veterans nonprofit, The Mission Continues, and as a board member of the Atlanta-based Warrior Alliance. Listen, when John TIEN enters a room, as I said earlier, the average IQ goes up a bunch. He has just marked it off the scale and has been participating and supporting the college throughout the past year. I've never before personally met a man of his intellect, his character, or with his ability to inspire courage in others. So please join me in giving a warm, grizzly welcome for a true Renaissance man, a patriot, a scholar, and frankly, just a good guy, Mr. John TIEN. John?
So, Stas, thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. My mother, who is not here today, would have loved that introduction. My wife, who is here, just said you made our drive home a lot longer. I would tell you, Stas, to the trustees, to the leaders of the Georgia Gwinnett College community, thank you for inviting me to be here today and be a small part of the GGC family, even for just a short few hours. To the graduates, to your family members, especially your parents and also to your friends, congratulations to you on a tremendous life achievement. Now, I first heard about GGC a few years ago, and it was over dinner with your past and current presidents, Dan Kaufman, who was already mentioned, and Stas, who you know very well. And before we had even gotten to the dinner rolls and the bread basket, Dan and Stas were going on about this wondrous place called GGC. They were describing all of you as these genius students, these brilliant thinkers, these folks who had a drive that they had never witnessed or observed before in their lives, both at the schools that they went to and also schools that they had taught at, West Point included, which we all share in common. They also described the faculty in a very similar fashion. They called you guys, the faculty and staff, passionate, committed, and created a system that allowed you to teach freely and teach with passion. And I'm thinking, this is a place I want to go see, and I wish I had gone to school at myself. And I said that, and then on the next round, before the entrees came, Stas said, well, we'd love you to come and be a guest lecturer in political science. So I showed up here last year, and I thought, am I even qualified to do this? Because the last time I had actually been in a college classroom teaching, it was 20 years ago when I was teaching for Dan Kaufman at West Point as the political science professor. So 20 years is a long time to go between teaching and lesson plans. And if you had asked my students at the time, or any time after they graduated, what do you remember about Captain John TIEN, your political science instructor? You heard my bio. You know, they should somehow exude this amazing, he was brilliant academic. He spoke with grand eloquence. Instead, and I've asked some of them, I say, hey, what do you remember from when my class was? They go, Captain TIEN, you were amazing. You were the guy who used a Simpsons TV episode to teach us about politics. That was so cool. Bart Simpson, who would have thought in an academic classroom? And I said, I taught you a lot of other things. And by the way, the teaching point was all about populist and elitist ideologies. So nonetheless, I thought, okay, I'm coming to GGC. They've asked me to be a guest lecturer. I got to do better than Bart Simpson. So I came here last year. I opened up the class with a different national leader and a different life philosopher, and was actually President Barack Obama. I used President Obama's first 2 minutes of his first nationally televised speech. He gave it on Afghanistan and Pakistan, and it was in December 1st, 2009. Now, I didn't just use it because Barack Obama's a great speaker. He is a great speaker. I used it because I was there at the speech that night. I was President Obama's Senior National Director for Afghanistan, Pakistan, and as a result of the speech being on that, I flew up with him that day on Air Force One to West Point to observe and witness the speech and help staff and prepare him for that. Okay, so come back to the GGC classroom, we show the speech, President Obama does a great job, I do an okay job, but more importantly, all of you in the audience, the GGC students, are attentive and you're intrigued, and the Q&A period comes and all these hands start going up left and right. And we couldn't answer all of the questions that you had. I loved them all. And all of the questions showed such an intense thirst for knowledge and a real introspection around your academic studies. One of the questions, I won't read them all here, but one of the questions was, the president, so remember we just watched the video and I spoke about the president and national security policy making. The president said he was a coalition leader, but NATO's Article 5 collective defense article only ever seems to be enacted when the United States is the country that decides to go to war. Why is that? Wow, there's a lot packed in there. There's facts, there's moral implications. Every question that came after that was equally substantive, challenging, and intriguing. And then the follow-up at the podium was even more so. We talked about, it felt like 20 minutes with a bunch of you, about topics from freedom of speech to the moral hazards of global banking, because I'm a global banker now. Since that class, I've been on and off campus several times, got to know a lot of you fairly well, and what it's clear to me, to be a Georgia Gwinnett College Grizzly means that you are one of Georgia's best and brightest students. You are Georgia's best and brightest students. So I'm thinking about this, I get the invitation from Stas to come in here and speak, and I thought, what am I gonna offer Georgia's best and brightest who are sitting here today? I've already given you my two biggest name drops I could do, Bart Simpson, Barack Obama, right? I can't drop a mic, should I just drop the mic, right? Be done with it? And some of you are going, yeah, man, you're already going on too long. But I don't, supposedly I'll get a free lunch after this at the 1818 Club, so I gotta sing for the supper a little bit. And I feel like tradition does say, when you get invited to be a commencement speaker, you should share some pearls of wisdom. So I'm gonna do that, 3, so you can count them, there'll be 3 of them, and when we get to the 3rd, you'll know the end is very near. I've gotten a chance to travel to a lot of different places. If you listen to my bio, 24 years in the Army, 7 years at Citigroup, and all over the world, have met a lot of incredible people. And indeed, I've come across what my 2 millennial daughters, who are just a little bit older than you, they call them, when I espouse them, they probably have a different name when I'm not in front of them, they call them life lessons. Here comes Dad's life lessons. And I do find the ones with the greatest truths to be memorable because they're simple, they're fundamental, and they're best shared in stories. So I like to offer you 3. Again, I said it's 3 pearls of wisdom, 3 life lessons, and I'll do one from each decade in my life since I graduated from college from West Point 30 years ago, and I'll do it to keep it the variety. I'll offer a phrase, I'll offer a philosophy, and I'll offer a quote. A phrase, a philosophy, and a quote. The phrase, it was when I was in my 20s, probably about 5 years beyond the stage that you're at now. Now, if you remember from my bio, I was in the military. I was just about to take command of my first M1A1 Abrams tank company. And I thought, okay, I gotta be ready for this. This is my big chance in the Army. So I went to my battalion commander, who's my boss, my manager, and I said, and he was a decorated leader. That alone would have been enough reason for me to go to get advice from him. But he also happened to have a PhD from Stanford. So I said, this guy's super smart, decorated military hero, I'll ask him for advice. I thought he was gonna tell me, get better at shooting my weapons or get in better shape or something like that. Instead he said, look, John, you have been to war, you've been to all of the standard Army training courses, you've been a staff officer in our battalion for the past year, but you are about to be in charge of 75 young men and prepare them to go to combat in defense of the nation. remember that you must and should be a lifelong learner. You must prepare yourself in the best way possible to lead these young troops into battle. So that's the phrase, to be a lifelong learner. Now, I know it's something you've probably all been told before, things like, you're never done learning, or there is always something more to know. There is always someone else out there who knows more than you. So you need to be hungry enough to dedicate yourself to becoming an expert. That being said, it is really easy to be complacent. Our daily lives will just take over. Yesterday, you'll achieve a certain plateau of knowledge, and then your yesterdays become your todays and become tomorrows, and you think, well, I'm all done learning and I'm getting the job done, so why do I need to go back to school, so to speak? Well, I will tell you, since my 20s, every 3 to 5 years, there always seems to be a life event or a life shift, which forces me, compels me to go back and learn some more. One of those times actually goes back to the little story I told at the beginning of the speech. It was about Barack Obama in 2009. It was only 9 months in to his first term. So go back in your history a little bit back, September 2009. He's only been president for a short 9 months. Again, I was his senior national director for Afghanistan and Pakistan policy. President Obama calls me and a few others into the office, and he says, the time has come for us to decide, for us as a nation to decide how many more troops, how much more money, how much more of the nation's resources are we going to dedicate to these countries 6,000, 7,000 miles away, Afghanistan and Pakistan. We need to decide this. Now, still in his first year in office, the president had a mandate from the American people. He had won a Nobel Peace Prize already. He could have just given us his worldview and said, go forth and execute. Instead, the president, and if you've ever heard him, I saw him on TV 2 nights ago, if you ever heard the president speak, I will not do a great rendition of it, but he said to us, and he looked at me in particular and said, John, in that deep baritone voice, right? John, let me be clear. We don't know what we don't know. This is amazing. This is from President Barack Obama, pretty smart guy, president of the United States, and yet he knows at that moment in time, in history, that he owes the millions of young American men and women who are in service or in the diplomatic corps, who are serving our nation overseas, that he, Barack Obama, needed to be more knowledgeable, that he needed to be better informed, that he needed to be far wiser than what he was. So he directed me and his chief of staff to develop a schedule for him that every other day, for as long as it took, for 2 to 3 hours at a time, to meet and get smarter, or as he said to us, we're going to go to school to learn how to protect the U.S. homeland. So from September, and it ended up being about 3 months, every other day for about 2 to 3 hours at a time, we met with the National Security Council. And we brought in academics like your faculty and staff. We met with generals, with ambassadors, with all sorts of subject matter experts, with CIA field agents. Sometimes they came through the White House Situation Room, sometimes they appeared on a secure video teleconference screen, and they brought in their charts and their presentations, and they provided recommendations and analyses. So fast forward 3 months, it's Thanksgiving 2009, he brings us back into the Oval Office, and he had made his decision. We're gonna commit this many more troops to Afghanistan, we're gonna figure out how to fight the war, global war on terror in Pakistan, and we're gonna figure out how to kill or capture the leader of Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden, which we eventually did on May 1st, 2011. President Barack Obama was a lifelong learner for those 3 months, and along with those 3 months, I became one as well. Now look, being a lifelong learner doesn't mean you have to go get more degrees. You certainly can, and I'm guessing just listening to some of your bios that you certainly will. However, it does mean that you need to recognize situations that will require and deserve a time in your life where it will be necessary and actually an obligation to go back and learn and perhaps even relearn. So we're 1 down, 2 more to go. That was the phrase. Be a lifelong learner because the world, or maybe perhaps your world, will depend on it. The philosophy. The philosophy is a leadership philosophy. It's called servant leadership. Servant leadership. Now, it turns out that I had been following servant leadership for a few years already into my 30s, but I didn't know that this school of leadership thought existed. And so I went, as soon as I heard it and I understood it, I put myself against it because I realized there were going to be other times where I was going to need to be a better leader, particularly for my troops and particularly if we had to go to combat. Servant leadership turns the traditional leadership pyramid upside down. It says that you are going to be, your service is entirely driven by those who you serve, not just as a collective group, but for individuals as well. Now, I look around and just listening to what Anna said, especially about the study groups and the large cups of coffee, that many of you, if not all of you, have been servant leaders in your life already. It was probably for that project group where you made sure that your group members got the best presentation to show to your faculty and staff to get the A. Perhaps it was you as a breadwinner in your family, and you're making sure that those who you care for are also developing as people, even though you're the one who's going to college. And I think the easiest servant leadership life application is what you see for many of the people who are sitting on your lefts and rights today. And it's the parents in the room. And if any of you are already parents, you know it as well. Think about all the time that they, and again, it's Anna's parents are up there, right? Think about all of the time they, or maybe you guys, again, as parents have done, to help your children learn to walk, learn to read, learn to do long division. So you might be saying to yourself, John, this is obvious. Well, I hope it is obvious to you. And I hope that every leader that you have as you go out to enter all these different places that the president just spoke about are going to be servant leaders. But the history of time tells us that is probably not going to be true. So let me give you a little story. Instead of from the Army, let me give you a story about Citigroup servant leadership. Yes, a private sector, a big global bank. But these are the kinds of corporations that many of you are already a part of or you're going to soon join. Now, the department that I'm in represents a significant portion of Citigroup's earnings. Citigroup's earnings were a Fortune 50 company. It's literally in the billions of dollars. So our CEO manages billions of dollars in net earnings. He could just make decisions, ask us to implement them, and we go off and do it. However, he gave us 4 strategic goals about 3 or 4 months ago. So here's my 4 strategic goals for the next 2 years. They were obvious. The first 3 were pretty obvious for a bank. Invest wisely, protect our customers' financial assets, and obey the law. The 4th one was really interesting to me because it was, and let's make sure that we help our employees grow and develop personally. The 4th goal was to help our employees grow and develop personally. Pretty amazing for a big global bank, but this is the kind of servant leader this person was. So we gave 15 of us money, time, effort, resources, and said, you create a personal development system that allows our fellow employees, thousands of them, to self-actualize and grow as people. I work a lot with this person. He literally comes to work every single day and he thinks to himself, what are the actions I can do today to best enable and empower those who work around me? I thought I knew servant leadership coming from the Army. I had seen a lot of great servant leaders, and yet here I am in corporate America, maybe the America that you are going to soon join, the private sector certainly, and servant leadership is alive and well out there. Hopefully you can go find them. But I know this for sure, and just listening to what Anna said, looking to the faces out here, getting to know you, that when it's your turn to lead, be a servant leader. We're almost to the end. It's the 3rd pearl of wisdom, and it's the quote. I learned, and I read this quote for the very first time when I was in my 40s, so I was getting on in age, and it was about 6 months before I was going to lead my 1,100 troops, now as a battalion commander. Now I'm the old guy, right? I'm going to lead my 1,100 troops into combat. I told my parents and my stepfather, and they're in California, we're in Germany. I tell my parents I'm about to go to war. My mother's crying, but my stepfather, right, says, he's a very well-read man, says, I'm going to send you a quote via email. I think you should read it because this really describes the kind of person you've been and the kind of person you probably should be. And it was a quote from a U.S. president, Theodore Roosevelt. Now, Theodore Roosevelt, go back in your history books really quick, he became president in 1901. In 1901, he was, when he became president, was the most battle-tested president that we had ever had at that point in our nation, other than George Washington. So George Washington on an entire century plus, now you have Theodore Roosevelt, who again, remember your history books, he leads the charge up San Juan Hill, an action that he eventually wins or is awarded the Medal of Honor for. So a very battle-tested guy as an Army colonel. Now he's the President of the United States. And the speech that I'm going to give a quote from is actually a speech he gave in 1910, so about 2 years after he finished being the president of our country. It is often referred to as the man in the arena speech. Now, it took me until I was in my 40s to hear the speech. You're only going to hear an excerpt, but I'm trying to give you that leg up, right? You're hearing it 20, maybe 25 years in advance. The man in the arena speech. It's a long quote, so bear with me, and I'll read it at the cadence that it's normally read at. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasm, who knows great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. That's the end of the quote. Now, as I said, I first read this quote 6 months before I led my troops into combat. That was middle of 2005. For all of 2006 and a good portion of 2007, I observed and witnessed my 1,100 soldiers doing all of those things that President Theodore Roosevelt had described. Their faces were often covered in dust and sweat, and yes, sometimes even blood. And they strived valiantly. They did so with great enthusiasms and with great devotions. In my last few months of ground combat, I decided I wanted to give them something to remember this time by. So I created and purchased and designed a military ceremonial coin, and it would commemorate their time in Iraq. Now, a military ceremonial coin is kind of like these, you saw some of our great color guard today with it on their chest. It's sort of like that, like the medals and ribbons that we pin on our chest. We give them in the military as a recognition of excellence. I actually brought one of my coins from Iraq today, and on it, I printed a small excerpt of the president's quote. At the top of the coin, it says, "The credit belongs to the person who's actually in the arena and who spends themselves in a worthy cause." And on the flip side, I created another quote inspired by this speech from Theodore Roosevelt and about my men's terrific combat actions. Your country asked you to go into the arena, your courage kept you there. I carry this coin with me today to remind me of the people who I served with in those very challenging months and year plus. People like my fellow soldiers who I served with in combat. I carry it to remind myself of my wife who sits here in the audience today because she stayed home in Germany taking care of our daughters and being the senior military commander's wife and spouse to care for all the family members that we left behind. It reminds me of my two daughters who are not that much older than all of you, who, because of that experience for them, they continue to serve the nation in their own ways now that they've graduated from college. And lastly, I'm reminded actually of the people in Iraq, of the Iraqi civilians, the Iraqi police, the Iraqi army, who all they wanted for their nation and for their neighborhoods was to make it a better place to live. To me, this quote reminds me to be present in every single moment, including this moment that I'm here with you today. And when I'm in that moment, that I always strive to fight for the worthy causes. Today, I've shared 3 guideposts with all of you. The first is, be a lifelong learner. The second, practice servant leadership. And the third is, fight for the worthy causes. It's so exciting to think about the guideposts that exist for all of you in the future for you. I'm also equally excited because when I look around this venue today, and these faces here in front of me, the 194 or some of you, I see no cold and timid souls. I see only faces who are ready to spend themselves in a worthy cause, who will dare greatly, and who are certainly ready to enter the arena. Congratulations to you all. This is big.
Please stand over.
Here?
Yes. Good morning. My name is Eliman Marina, President of the GGC student body. Mr. TIEN, on behalf of the students of Georgia Gwinnett College, I would like to thank you for being here today to share your wisdom with the summer class of 2018. In appreciation of the positive impact your words will have on each of us for years to come and your service to GGC, it is my honor to present to you this gift on behalf of the GGC student body and the graduating class of 2018.
Thank you. Thanks very much. You're bigger than me. Yeah.
As a point of privilege, if you don't mind, please join me in thanking John for his service to our country. And if anybody who's in the audience or among our graduates, if you've served in the uniform, our country, in the active duty, Guard, Reserve, or if you are members of the Fire Department, Police Department, or Emergency Medical Services, if you please stand and accept the thanks of all the people here today for the service you provide to our communities and to our nation. So please stand. And there's one other quick group I'd like to recognize, when we have to do this when we're part of the Gwinnett County community. Well, those graduates who are citizens of a foreign nation, would you please stand to be recognized? Graduates who are citizens of a foreign nation, please stand to be recognized. This is Gwinnett County. This is what makes Gwinnett County a great place. Well, at this time, we'll proceed with the conferral of degrees. I now call on the Senior Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs and the Provost, Dr. T.J. Arant, to acknowledge those candidates who will graduate with honors, to introduce the deans who will present the summer 2018 candidates for graduation. Provost.
Thank you, Dr. Przewski. In a moment, the deans of the School of Business, School of Liberal Arts, the School of Education, and the School of Science and Technology, in corresponding order, will present the candidates for the baccalaureate degrees of Bachelor of Business Administration, Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science and Education, and Bachelor of Science. First, we will recognize those candidates who will graduate with special honors. Students graduating with these honors also will be acknowledged individually as they receive their degrees on the stage. Those graduates with the honors designation of summa cum laude have earned a grade point average above 3.875. Magna cum laude reflects those graduates who earned a grade point average above a 3.75. Cum laude have earned a grade point average above a 3.50. I ask those students graduating with these special academic honors to please rise and be recognized. Thank you. Thank you. At this time, the deans are asked to come forward to present the summer 2018 candidates and their applicable degrees. Dr. Tyler Youb, Dean of the School of Business, Dr. Laurel Holland, Interim Dean of the School of Liberal Arts, Dr. Kathy Moore, Dean of the School of Education, and Dr. Thomas Mundy, Dean of the School of Science and Technology.
President Przewski, on behalf of the faculty of the School of Business, it is my privilege to present the candidates who have completed the prescribed course of study for the baccalaureate degree in business administration. These candidates have, by character and achievement, as judged by our faculty, proved worthy. Will the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Business Administration and the faculty of the School of Business please rise? Please be seated.
President Prochaski, on behalf of the faculty of the School of Liberal Arts, it is my privilege to present the candidates who have completed the prescribed course of study for the baccalaureate degree of science and the baccalaureate degree of arts. These candidates have, by character and achievement, as judged by the faculty, proved worthy. Will the degree candidates with majors in English, history, political science, criminal justice, and psychology, and the faculty of the School of Liberal Arts please rise? Please be seated.
President Prochaski, on behalf of the faculty of the School of Education, it is my privilege to present the candidates who have completed the prescribed course of study for the Bachelor of Science in Education. These candidates have, by character and achievement, as judged by the faculty, proved worthy. Will the degree candidates with majors in early childhood education and special education and the faculty of the School of Education please rise? Please be seated.
President Prochaski, on behalf of the faculty of the School of Science and Technology, it is my privilege to present the candidates who have completed the prescribed course of study for the baccalaureate degree of science. These candidates have, by character and achievement as judged by the faculty, proved worthy. Will degree candidates with majors in biology, chemistry, exercise science, information technology, and the faculty of the School of Science and Technology please rise? Please be seated.
Here it comes. Now, will the summer 2018 candidates for graduation, all of the faculty and the deans, please rise? And the dean, no, and the students, you're the graduates. If you don't want it, I mean, you can book another semester if you'd like. By the authority vested in me by the Board of Regents of the University System of Georgia, pending final approval by the Georgia Gwinnett College faculty and certification by the Georgia Gwinnett College Registrar, I hereby confer upon you the baccalaureate degrees as designated and recorded in the semester's official commencement program, with all of the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto appertaining. Congratulations, and you may now move your tassel from the right to your left to signify your graduation. Please be seated. Parents, this is the time you now go home and change the locks. Graduates, immediately following receipt of your diploma and prior to leaving the stage, you will be congratulated by Mr. TIEN and by the dean of your school. Now, those of you who are to receive their diplomas, please do come forward as your name is called with a special moment to begin.
The
the college is posthumously awarding the Bachelor of Business Administration degree to Noah Kabede. Noah's brother, Azaria, is accepting on behalf of the family.
Just a moment of silence, please, for Noah. Please continue.
Haya Abdul Nabi.
Mona Sim Adams, cum laude, minor information technology.
Jonathan Scott Adams.
Carla Maribel Amaya.
Leslie Ikenna Ananoya.
Kenneth Jacob Barry.
Dianabu Berry.
Andre Liviu Bodazat.
Carly Amber Brooks.
Matthew Stephen Cacavale.
Nicholas Joel Cardoza, cum laude.
Christian Colin.
Sophia L. Diaz.
Jasmine Diaz.
Allison Page Dudley, cum laude.
Anna Maria Echeverry, cum laude, minor in English, certification in global studies.
Darian Hesela Fajardo.
Michael Andrew Feldman, cum laude.
Mateus Fernandez.
Tiffany Renee Gaines.
Brianna Christine Freibol.
Monica Garza.
Bumik P. Gala, magna cum laude, minor in information technology.
Jared Brett Hall.
Samuel D. Gassert.
Stephen Michael Hauser.
Mashia Hawk.
Hua Her.
Rayvan Simone Francesca Jarrett.
Michael Keith Johnson.
Maya Lynn Johnson.
Tyvon Brandon Mans.
Diana Yin Chen Lin.
Jordan Bradley Miller.
Krista Lee McDaniel, cum laude.
Baby Mayu, minor in political science.
Nicholas Fawn.
Casey Scott Price.
Zachary Joseph Pruitt, cum laude.
Muriel Robergeau Charles.
Dalma Neira Ruelas, summa cum laude.
Pedro Ruelas Franques, summa cum laude.
Myra J. Sablon.
Belma Simizia Saliovic, cum laude.
Tajin B. Salim.
Monica Silvia Sandoval.
Ashley Lynn Seaman.
Shelby Danielle Stallworth.
Molly Kate Temples.
Daniel Shumalan.
Michael Richard Watson.
Jessica E. Thomas.
Michael Brandon Willis.
Alex Danielle Bisbal, cum laude.
Catherine Arlene Coons, magna cum laude.
Jelani Williams.
Tyler Merrow.
Catherine Renee Woolen.
Alexander Joshua Da Silva.
Anthony Caruso Jr.
Dennis Blazevik.
Drew Tyler Lewis, cum laude.
Olga Naseli Muanda.
Matt Hastings Myers.
Laura Bravo Duran.
Courtney Ozioma Chukura.
Joseph Nicholas Hudak, magna cum laude.
Emiline Elaine Acevedo.
Ariana Chantel Martin.
Ashley Lynette Clark.
Stephen Caleb Moody, cum laude.
Morgan Alexandra Healy.
Aaron Christopher Moten.
Kiera Leanne Jackson.
Yolanda Denise Ramsey.
Diane Muse.
Dion Patrice Stallworth.
Jennifer Moore.
Kenya Danielle Wyndham.
Sharita Shantae Pritchett.
Victoria M. Adeleke.
Christopher Andrew Robertson.
Heather Raquel Davis.
Kiera Roshan Taylor.
Gabriela Maria Garategui.
Jasmine Alexis Mikkel Barrett.
Nathasha Arlene Gratterall.
Robert Dennis Chapman Myers.
Margaret Johnson Honors Program.
Adeline Garcia.
Gurpreet Kaur.
Courtney Cherish Harmon.
Sharifa Tamika Levin.
Victoria Rocio Urilli.
Briasia Deborah Meadows.
Julie R. Joseph, magna cum laude.
Medjin Barambo.
Stanley Lambert.
Summer Ray Nelson, summa cum laude.
Lolita E. McNeil, cum laude, honors program.
Lena Rebecca Pearson.
Regina Nash.
Shanique J. Russell.
Christina L. O'Brien.
Nicole Ashley Wisnett.
Anna Marie Petty, cum laude.
Michael Wayne Bish.
Christabel Wilma Hawkins.
Alicia Walton.
Sally Saad Ali, summa cum laude.
Lance Chase Dixon, minor in chemistry.
Mary Eleanor Diaz.
Gilbert T. Gemfy.
Jeremy Lewis Goodman, cum laude.
Helen Yvonne Manger.
Taylor Nicole Hubbard, cum laude.
Rosemary Jane Melendez.
Tashika Lakel McDaniel.
Tempest I. Nwachuku.
Miriam Deborah Pakurar, magna cum laude.
Nasim Peymani, summa cum laude.
Danielle Alexandria Samuels.
Daisy Santana.
Tanya Renee Stoll.
Melissa Ann Willingham.
Mai An Betty T. Tran.
Samantha Lynn Gracia, cum laude.
Darian Armando Woodley.
Jessica Diane Meeks.
Violeta Araujo Espinosa.
Antonio Omar Pereira.
Alec David Fernandez.
Sonia Sanchez Alvarez, minor in information technology.
Denise Adriana Mota, cum laude.
Catherine M. Valencia, cum laude, minor in information technology.
Samuel T. Reynolds.
Brian David Bailey.
Joseph Nathaniel Smith.
Matthew Austin Carver.
Aaron Denzel Carter.
Julian David Diaz, cum laude.
Afifa Firdaus.
Carla Melissa Fox.
Alexander David McWhorter.
Tabitha Marie King, cum laude.
James Cody Tallman, cum laude.
Derek B. Sango IV.
Jared Cordell Sinnock. Pita Malik Shaw.
Tracy W. Thompson.
And with that, please join me in congratulating the Georgia Gwinnett College graduating class Summer 2018. Please be seated. You have just broken the record for the longest standing ovation for our graduates. Graduates, as you return to your seats following receipt of your diplomas, you receive the gift of an alumni pin from the GGC Alumni Association. So now you are GGC alumni. I invite you to engage actively in the Alumni Association, and more importantly, keep us apprised of the significant events that are happening in your lives so that we can be proud of you as you move forward and make a difference. Now, if you would please, everyone stand for the Georgia Gwinnett College alma mater, also sung for us by JANAE Gray. JANAE?
We have gained wisdom and honor from our home of green and gray. We will go forth and remember all we've learned along the way. And with knowledge and compassion, we will build community. Georgia, Gwinnett, will never forget how we have grown and those that we've met. Georgia, Gwinnett, with love and respect, our alma mater, Georgia, Gwinnett, our alma mater, Georgia, Gwinnett.
Thank you, JANAE. Ladies and gentlemen, please do be seated. Guests and friends, the faculty and the graduates will soon begin the recessional to conclude with a tradition that was established early on here at GGC. We call it the Faculty Gauntlet. In keeping with this tradition, the platform party will depart first, followed by the faculty. The faculty will recess down the center aisle of the arena, forming two lines directly opposite one another. Once the faculty are in place, our graduates will recess following the same path through the two lines of faculty. This GGC tradition of recessing through the Faculty Gauntlet holds significant meaning. The gauntlet represents the strong bonds that have been established between faculty and graduates during their time shared here together, engaged in active learning and development while at GGC. So now, would you please remain in place, everybody in the audience, please remain in place for the exit of the platform party, the recession of the faculty, and the recession of the summer 2018 graduates. We'll do that in that order. On behalf of the GGC graduates, the faculty, the staff, and our administration, we thank you all for your attendance here today, and to our graduates, as always, we wish you great future successes.